Yeah, investing in science, investing in technology, creative industries, those are all important for Auckland.
Why isn't the Ministry of Agriculture in Hamilton, for instance, where they know what a cow looks like?
Cutting nearly 9,000 public servants.
Not enough.
It's not necessarily a good thing.
Enough. Failing village, I'm sorry to say. More people live in Howick than Wellington. Righto, listeners and watchers, I have the pleasure of interviewing Carmel Sepuloni, who's right at the very top of the Labor Party and is the spokesperson for Auckland City. Couldn't have a better person from the Labor, and she's here now, and we're going to go through the same questions that we've asked all parties, more or less the same questions anyhow, with slightly different sensitivities depending on how bad the answers are. So start-up is, we're talking about Auckland's deal with Wellington. We're a third of the country, 40% of the GDP, you know that sort of stuff, but Wellington still treats Auckland like a problem to manage rather than a grown-up city capable of making their own decisions. So when Labor is in government after the election, what actual changes for Auckland?
Yeah. So I think it's important that we continue with the agreement that you've signed up to with the government. I think we all understand that it's a framework for how you're going to work together. There's not a lot in it, so that means that it doesn't need to be thrown out. But how do we build on that moving forward? What does Auckland need? Is it regulatory powers? How do we devolve that responsibility better so that we aren't in a position where it's continually Wellington telling Auckland what to do?
What's one power you'd hand back to Auckland?
Well, I mean, I'm not going to make the policy on the fly here, but I know that there's some things that you've been discussing that you think should be handed back to Auckland, and I think all those things should be on the table.
That's a pretty good answer. Very good answer, actually. Better than some I've heard. Rates, City Rail, Link, who pays for that stuff? We've just stuck up our rates by 7.9% in Auckland. Why do you think we did that?
Well, if you didn't do that, I think it was very clear from the discussions that we saw, you'd be in a position where you'd have to cut services to ratepayers. No one wants that. A lot has been pushed on Auckland Council. Costs have gone up and you've been put in that unenviable position.
Sort of right, but the actual reason we are managing all of those to get a zero rate rise plus pay for this frickin' City Rail Link. That's what the 7.9%. 7.9% is $235 million, which is exactly the annual cost of the City Rail Link. And so it cost way too much and took way too long. And I don't think there are many politicians who would disagree with that. Probably not you either, for that matter.
No, but we can't wait for it to be open.
What about funding tools for Auckland? Why won't they government pay rates on their property?
Why won't they what, sorry?
Why doesn't government pay rates like everybody else does on property you own here?
I have no idea, and I didn't know that that was the case.
Wow, there's a lesson. Schools, hospitals use roads, footpaths, cost councils shitloads of money, and they refuse to pay rates.
Okay. Well, I didn't know that was the case. Yes,
well, there you are.
Take that away. I learned something today.
Learn something every day. Waste and bureaucracy. People are sick of money disappearing into process, reports, layers. How would your government embed better, faster, cheaper across government? Like I've got people here saying better, faster, cheaper around the council who would never have said that 4 years ago, other than they hear it from me all the time.
Yeah.
What about you guys? What would you do?
Well, I think part of it comes down to expectations from ministers on their government agencies. Some of us have had a bit of experience, and so going back in. Well, I think a bit of experience is helpful. And
it is, but I mean the experiences won't be good. But having some is quite a good idea.
Yeah, so I think, to be fair, Wayne, we're a little bit worried about the level of cuts that the government agencies have had to make under this government. I mean, cutting nearly 9,000 public servants.
Not enough.
There's not necessarily a good thing.
Not nearly enough.
Wayne, no, I would disagree with that.
30,000 should have cut. If not cutting, what would be really good is if you reassigned them to the rest of New Zealand. Why wouldn't
a lot of them are from the rest of New Zealand. A lot of them will be from
Why isn't
Auckland.
the Ministry of Agriculture in Hamilton, for instance, where they know what a cow looks like? Get it out of Wellington. failing village, I'm sorry to say. More people live in Howick than Wellington.
Oh, let's not be mean to Wellington.
I won't be mean to Wellington when it stops being mean to us. I just had a discussion a minute ago. I learn something every day too. That, the government are going to pass legislation to make it a bit easier for people to get their liquor licences by saying that you have to be local to complain about something at the place where you get your liquor.
Yeah.
And that sounds a good idea. Most of us a good idea. But they've worded it so as it's the territorial authority. So still somebody in Wellsford complain about a pub in Otahu. A grown-up person who wasn't listening to those dreadful civil servants in Wellington would have said, why don't we make it the local board boundaries?
Yeah.
But no, so I'm going to have to fight to get that changed. And so you need civil servants, but not in Wellington.
Well, you need them everywhere. I would agree with that.
Okay, getting Auckland moving. Number 4, we want to move around the city. Freight needs to move. We need a 30-year integrated transport plan. We want dynamic lanes, all those things. So what's your practical plan to get Auckland moving in the next term? And will you give Auckland more control over transport planning and funding?
We support the 30-year plan and certainly support giving Auckland more powers and ability to make some of these decisions. I'd agree, for too long it's been centralised and it's been Wellington telling Auckland what to do, and that hasn't necessarily worked out. So we're supportive of that.
Good. That's a very good answer. You get a yes for that one. Time of use charging, yes, no?
Oh, well, I think we're the ones that progressed the conversations around that, and so we're supportive, but we don't want to do that without taking into consideration what happens with buses and trains, because people should be able to have that option. So that's all part of your plan.
I think what you've just done with making buses even cheaper than they already are, and they're pretty cheap anyhow, gets over the thing, because people say, oh, what about poor people on the motorway? They shouldn't be on the motorway, they should be on a bus. And you've made that easier. So we don't have different petrol prices depending on your wealth.
No.
You'd never manage that. But I think the idea, what you're doing there, you're trying to get more people on buses. Whatever the details of it, it's not a bad thing to do. So I don't have any problem with that.
It's been very popular so far.
Auckland's the economic ministry. We have more than 1,300 startups here. Universities, exporters, rocket labs, halters, all those things. What's your plan to make Auckland a higher wage, higher productivity city?
Yeah. These are the discussions that the Committee for Auckland, and I know alongside Council and the universities, have been having. We're supportive of those discussions. How do we invest?
Well, good on you for noticing that. That's a first.
Well, yeah, we're supportive of those discussions, and some of the ideas that are coming out of that committee, which again includes Council, are really important. But yeah, investing in science, investing in technology, creative industries, those are all important for Auckland.
They are. It was quite important to me that the government is putting its high-tech thing into Auckland, which is bloody good.
Yeah.
It nearly went into Wellington. That was a mistake. And then it nearly went into the university, which would have been an even bigger mistake. Fortunately, it's not. It's going down the Viaduct Harbour Basin because universities are like white iwi in some ways. I haven't said this to any other one. Maori always come and say, oh, we need more funding. And I say, mate, people like me we don't get funding, we get customers. Find something to sell. And the universities like that, they get funding, but they need to work out how to sell products.
Yeah. But, they're doing good work. We were at AUT the other day with Damon Salesa, and he was walking us through some of the technology and innovation
that he's been quite good. There's a new person coming to the Auckland University. We're all hoping for a great change there.
Yeah.
I don't know the person. Will you, you will do this, you can say yes, as I know already, but we want concerts, conferences, sporting fixtures, we need a way to pay for them. Will you support a midnight levy for Auckland?
We think that should be on the table, and that's a decision for Auckland.
We want permissive legislation for that. Act won't do it. And so
we're not taking it off the table. We think that it is decision for Auckland.
Yeah.
On all of those other things we support too, but we think that when it comes to events, Auckland should have a say in what events are being held and what the events fund is being used for.
I'm very grumpy about the government stuffing up and losing the sale GP, for which we're putting up half the money in the first place, because they don't understand that sale GP is not just an event, it's a window into the Auckland marine technology sector. So instead we're funding some tattooed pom to sing at Eden Park.
So how are those ticket sales going?
I don't think they are very well. We've got plenty of tattooed singers of our own here.
We do.
Nobody around the
world
world is going to watch that guy on TV, but they all around the world would have watched Sale GP. Anyhow, paying for the future is the next one. We've got bills coming for transport, water renewals, growth, resilience, blah, blah, blah. Money doesn't grow on trees. How will your party pay for Auckland's future without racking up a bill for the next generation? And then we'll have a little chat about superannuation after that.
Yeah. Well, there has to be that long-term thinking between government and Auckland Council. And, you know, the money has to be considered as an investment over a longer period of time. And so I'm not going to pretend that I've got all the dollars here to say and the answers to that question, but those are things that we're going to have to discuss when we get elected into government in November.
Well, governments have made a mess of their finances anyhow, successive governments, but they've just been presiding over the decline, so something's got to change. Now, within superannuation, I hear you guys are brave enough to even being mentioning the word, which is a good set. But what are you going to do about that? And is there a problem? Because I've been told by some people before you that it isn't a problem, but I think it's a problem.
No changes for us. I think New Zealanders want certainty around superannuation.
Why don't you just raise the age?
We're not going to lift the age.
Why not?
We're not going to means test it. We're not going to touch it.
Means testing is too hard. But the problem with not lifting the age is that as people grow older, there are more people collecting than supporting. But if you move the age up with their growth, the same percentage of people working to support it with the same people at the other end. I just don't get why you wouldn't do that. It's already gone from 60 to 65.
The problem is that, and you know this, Wayne, there's a whole lot of people that are going to need to retire at 65 because of the nature of the work that they've been doing. They've been on the tools all their lives. And so, you know, how do you differentiate? I think the thing about our superannuation system is it's simple. And so would we say, regardless of whether or not someone was physically able to continue, well, if they weren't physically able to continue working, that you'd have some kind of differentiated system?
No, when you're 70, you get it.
Yeah,
but
so then how is that fair on that particular group of New Zealanders?
It's fair on everybody that way.
A
lot of the people that can't work when they're 65 have not looked after themselves. It's not my problem.
Well, we're sticking with 65.
All right, well, good on you. But then again,
I think we need to continue to invest in the super fund. We've talked about our future fund, and so those are the types of things that we need to.
You're going to put money in the future fund. I've got one, but I put 1.5 billion because I sold the airport shares. You've got to have something to go in there. You can't have a future fund with no money.
So we said we'd kickstart it with 200, and then from there we'll continue to build on it.
Yeah, well, quick whip round and bloody Ponsonby, you get 200. Aucklanders hear plenty of promises. What's the one thing Auckland would notice within 3 years once you've won the election?
I think what they will notice is that through greater collaboration between council and government, that things will be moving. Greater use of public transport, hopefully less congestion on the roads as a result of that. And we just want to see it thriving again. I mean, when I came up here in 1996, these streets were filled with people when I was at university. And there are parts of the city, I think, that are doing really well, and other parts that don't seem to have the same level of life that they used to. So we all want to see that. We also don't want to see the level of homelessness that we're seeing on the streets, but that means actually getting people into housing as opposed to moving them on to the next door neighbour suburbs.
Since Trump has belatedly discovered the Straits of Hormuz, we've had a reminder that energy resilience matters. What's your plan to keep the lights on and fuel moving?
More of a focus on renewable energy. We've been very clear about that. Even just today, I think it is, Nicola Willis has been sprung for a bill of $5 billion because she hasn't been doing what she needs to do to get carbon emissions down in New Zealand. So we've got to resume that work.
So how do you get them down?
Well, I mean, you know...
What's the simplest thing to get carbon.
I'm not saying that we're going to bring this back, but it was one of the simplest ways of doing it, which was subsidising take-up of electric vehicles. And that had a huge impact on the number of electric vehicles that were coming into the country and the number of people that were accessing them.
Yeah, that was a mistake to change that for diesels, but I think the simplest way is actually getting freight off trucks and onto rail. It's a very simple way of reducing greenhouse gases.
Yeah.
And I've got that at the port already. Yeah. Rapid fire, bang, 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 these ones now. You've got through all the hard ones, well done. Last time you used a hop card?
Oh, maybe a month ago?
Last night for me.
Okay.
I got the bus home to Ponsonby. People love it. They see the mayor catching a bus. They can hardly believe their ears. Their eyes, rather. But good on you. Bus, train, ferry, bike, walk or car?
Oh, I love the train.
Do you?
I don't catch it enough, but I love the train.
Why don't you give all the politicians a free train ride instead of giving them a BMW with a driver?
We're actually...
I don't get a driver. I don't get a BMW.
Well, I don't either.
But once you get to be a minister, you will.
Oh.
And I had some guy with a princely title of the Minister of Consumer Affairs, which I don't even know how that can be a job. And he told me he had a driver and a thing, and he could give me a lift. And I thought it was very nice of you. Apartment, townhouse, or villa?
Villa.
Are you in a villa?
No, I'd love to be in a villa.
What are you in?
I am in a bungalow. I think it's a bungalow.
You're one of these bloody leafy suburbs buggers.
I'm in Titirangi.
Hey?
I'm in Titirangi.
Oh, leafy suburbs, one of the worst. I'm in an apartment, so there. EV, hybrid, or petrol?
I would, at the moment, I'm not hybrid or electric, but I wish I was electric.
You're speaking to a proud owner of a BYD. Name an Auckland volcano which is not Rangitoto or Mount Eden.
Maungikiki.
That's actually Mount Eden, but not a bad effort though. No, it's One Tree Hill, sorry.
Yeah.
I had you worried for a moment. Mangawhau is Mount Eden.
Yes.
There you are. One piece of Auckland infrastructure other than a stadium that makes you proud.
One piece of Auckland infrastructure other than the stadium that makes me proud. I'm looking out the window. The Sky Tower's there. None of us liked it when it was getting built, but now it's part of the. It's
very good answer.
It's part of what makes Auckland.
There's quite a few. I mean, I like the Harbour Bridge.
Yeah,
that's pretty cool. And there are a few there. That's quite good there. That's quite good. What if you could take a sledgehammer to one building or thing that's been erected in the city, what would it be first? And don't tell me there's nothing.
I mean, we're all very nostalgic about it, but it's not very aesthetically pleasing, and that's the building at the Avondale Racecourse, the stadium at the Avondale Racecourse.
Yeah, that's a good answer. St James is another one, and you've put some money into that. It's a shitter.
I love the St James, and I can't wait for that project to be finished.
It's held up and ruined the Queen Street, that job. The clearly winner of that has to be the police station.
Oh.
That's been vacated around the corner.
Yeah.
And it's just not only is it not of any use, but you're not even paying any bloody rates on it, so it's really annoying. And one word, Auckland's biggest problem.
Traffic.
God, wins the prize. That's what I said too. Right, you win that prize. Biggest opportunity, other than me being the mayor for the next 2 years.
The people.
What people?
What about the biggest opportunity are the people.
The people outside my pub who bloody leave bottles all over the place, and who the people inside my pub hate with a passion. Well, they're people.
Of the Aucklanders, the people here, the talent they have, that's the biggest opportunity.
Weak answer, that one. Not nearly as good as the one before. But anyhow, it's been fun having you. Thanks for coming in. You did pretty well. You got some of the best answers out of we've heard so far too.
Oh,
and
well,
so
thank
there you go. It's interesting. I think the people will find these really interesting, actually.
Yeah.
Because they're chatting to someone they want that, and I genuinely like all the people I've come, and I like people without having to have their same views. Well, I don't disagree with the views of Labour, or I'm a radical centrist.
Yeah.
I'm in the centre.
Well.
And I think you guys are nearly in the centre. If I could get both of you in the centre together, it'd be better. Nevertheless, Carmel Sepuloni, thank you so much for coming.
Thank you.